side of the Northern Line. So yeah, I'm going to speak a bit later about one aspect of what I feel is the quintessence of well-being, which is realizing the answer to those two ultimate questions: who am I and why am I here? This little piece is about the first part, about identity, and it's called the indestructible matrix of pure space. Say, I man just been relaxing in the indestructible matrix of pure space. It have a very nice taste, like coming face to face with grace. Not over here or over there, but all over the place. So I man can make haste slowly. And the sense of aloneness don't make me feel lonely, because I'm an identity is totally phony. Holy moly, there is no me, there is only the indestructible matrix of pure space. It's a strangely familiar place. Let's face it, the entire human race is based in it. Bumbleclot if we're not wasting it. What a waste of space. Fancy ignoring the very space that contains us. It's outrageous. And in the case of human evolution, might even be dangerous. There's just too much focus on what might be facing us, and not enough focus on the instantaneous. Indestructible matrix of pure space. Analogous to timeless, infinitely spacious awareness, flawless, peerless, fearless, but nothing special in our fairness. Just this unobstructed effortlessness with which we're all blessed. Just rest. How much effort does it take to be aware you're awake? Think carefully before you answer, because the quality of your life is at stake. The indestructible matrix of pure space is closer to you than you are. It extends beyond the farthest galaxy's farthest star. It coordinates your neurochemistry and it services your car. It is existentially impossible for anything to be on a par. The mental and physical universes support it like a breast supports a bra. And its only philosophical postulate is la 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 la. The indestructible matrix of pure space. Safe! Thank you very much. All answers that have been given to the question, what is the meaning of life? And if we look at the history of mankind for thousands and thousands of years, we've asked that question, why are we here, what is the meaning of life? And from my perspective, the answers have tended to fall into one of two groups. On the one side, you've got sort of organised exoteric religion, which worships a god of different names, sometimes Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, Brahman. And from the point of view of religion, or traditional Orthodox religion, the meaning of life is doing God's will, one way or another, whether that's submission, or forgiveness, or love, or Ten Commandments. With me? Yeah? That's given by religion. The meaning of life is doing God's will. And funnily enough, on the same side, although it would appear to be on the other side, we've got the sort of secular commercial world, which also supplies answers to the meaning of life, but in sexual, lots of lovely looking people here tonight, I must admit. There you go, Jamie, I'm admitting my shit, my insanity, urgently, if it were, as it were. On the secular side, we worship different gods that go by the names of wealth and power and status and fame, and in the same way, the meaning of life is given as achieving those things, living up to those goals. So they're all on the side of, yes, life has a meaning and it's this. The problem there, of course, is that they all have different answers, and basically, if you get it wrong, because you were brought up in the wrong religion, or you don't manage to become rich and successful and famous, basically you're fucked, aren't you? Basically, that's it, your life is meaningless. So that's not a particularly empowering way of going about it. You know, choose from this smorgasbord of meanings and make sure you get it right. And then on the other side, you've got things like existential psychology and philosophy, and you've got Buddhism, which actually say the opposite. They say, no, life has no meaning. It's meaningless, it's empty. And that might be a little bit more honest, but it also can lead to nihilism and suicidal depression and not a very nice place. So there's something about that that's not particularly empowering. But then, thankfully, as I'm sure you guessed, there is a middle way, there is a third way. I call it the paradoxical way or the mystical way, which is to recognise they're both right and they're both wrong, and that life is both meaningful and meaningless. And in fact, it's meaningfully meaningless. And a better way of putting it would be, life has no meaning except the meaning we give it. So, from the point of view I'm coming from, but ultimately, as Jamie was saying, the experience itself was terrible and tragic and a loss, but because of the fact that there was an amazing dynamic, the people who helped me when I was in Mexico, and the 3 girls who kind of got me to the hospital, and I needed 6 pints of blood, and there was no blood in the state, in the whole area of Mexico that I was in, and these 3 girls literally said, okay, how are we going to get him blood, otherwise he's going to die, or have to have his leg amputated up to here. And they wrote out placards, and they went out into the streets of Veracruz. They weren't natural Spanish speakers, and they campaigned for 5 days and got me 6 pints of screen O-negative blood and saved my life. I didn't have holiday insurance. They sent an email out to my friends and people that like my poetry and said, look, can you help? And whole dozens of people did little fundraising events and sent me stacks of emails, supportive emails, and raised £8,500 to pay all my hospital bills and get back to England. Then when I got back to England, I've always had a terrible relationship with my mum. She's never rated me very much, but she was so amazed by the way I approached what was happening to me, and the fact I was going through this whole thing of, wow, this is terrible and tragic, but I'm having a really good time. And she was so amazed by how I was dealing with it, finally this veil fell from her face, and she thought, oh, actually, I'm proud of my son. So I had this massive healing with my mum, and you know, people say I give my right arm for that. And I gave my right leg, and it was a very good deal. But the real key to it was that during the process, I was thinking about Frankl. Rather than asking why did this terrible thing happen, rather than asking why did this happen, I decided why it happened. I gave it meaning. I didn't either react, because we tend to react, we're always giving things meaning, whether we know it or not, but those meanings tend to be habitual, reactive, limited, culturally conditioned, based on fear, based on what's happened to us. But real creative living, from my point of view, is actually deciding what is the highest meaning for this. And I decided the reason I lost my leg is so I could be a more inspirational poet and performer and loving person and open person. And that was 4 years ago, and that meaning is the meaning now, because I've actually realised it. So for me, the key to well-being is taking back our power. You know, don't ask why, decide.